All right, all right, all right. Good morning, America. Good morning, world. This is Vinnie Chopra, your host, with my co-host partner, Bo Eckstein. I'm from the Bay Area, right here in Danville, Black Hawk, just enjoying life. And it's kind of a little bit cloudy today, for a change. And hopefully we won't have to water the lawn. Well, 88 degrees, 86 degrees over here. Again, we come live to you at 9:30 Pacific every Friday morning, and we talk about real estate. We talk about commercial real estate. We talk about syndications. We talk about how to invest and have cash flows coming to you monthly, quarterly, equity gains, and loans. I mean, Bo is the specialist in loans, giving all kind of loans, all kind of programs. Bo, how are you, brother?
Doing well. Another Friday, right? It's amazing how fast time goes by. But today was interesting day because I was at the gym this morning as usual.
Yeah.
And the trainer at the gym came up and said, "You can now take off your mask." And I was like, "Whoa, this is weird, right?" And I took it off for a little bit, and I felt uncomfortable because I've been wearing a mask for so long, So
Sure.
It's interesting. So I guess now things are really starting to open up in a big way. So I'm hoping that we don't have a big surgence of COVID cases and the vaccinations work and so forth. But it was nice to work out a little bit without my mask on today because I work out really hard. So it was just weird taking it off because it's been on for how long? Like 14, 15 months.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's definitely was a new feeling for me today. So.
Wow. I know we are traveling after 1 year and 3 months tomorrow to go to Florida, and it'll be a different experience, flying with the mask on and everything. And I know it's going to be different experience for sure, for sure. Hey, we got a great guest today, and that's Ethan. Hi, Ethan. How are you?
Hey, Vinny. Hey, Bo.
Hello.
Hey, good to meet you and good to have you. Ethan Diaz is from Florida, actually, right there, and he's a real estate investor and acquisitions manager at DB Investment Group. Ethan started in real estate with his father at the age of 16. At the age of 16, guys, and shortly after he acquired his first multifamily property at the age of 18, Ethan acquired a home for his own residence, living in there at the, age of 18. Remember that. And now he's under contract for his first syndication, a syndication at the age of 18, 19. He just turned 19 last week, and for his first syndication of 104 units in the Dallas MSA area. Ethan, welcome, buddy. We are really looking forward to kind of getting into your story and how you're so successful at such a young age. I hope that the people who will be watching this one, that a lot of our investors and followers will show this episode to your children, because it's a really good thing to paint the picture, to have the vision. And I know in one of the quests that I have before I die is to build a youth academy, which we have started on it, to really train the young people at the age of 14, 15, 16, 18 to really get into real estate at an early stage. So Ethan, welcome, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Bo.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
How is it going? Tell us more about you then. We want to, see your beginning and how you got into, real estate such a young age. Wow.
Yeah. So when I was 16 years old, I always wanted to be a doctor. My dad's a pulmonologist, so he's a lung specialist here in Florida. We came here from Puerto Rico when I was like 4 years old. My dad's from Peru. My mom's from, upstate New York. So
Yes.
always wanted to be a doctor. And then just seeing my dad work like, 80, 100 hours a week didn't seem like the life I wanted for my kids, working nonstop, not having as much time with your parents. And then my dad started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, all these other books. He had me read these books. It was almost like homework. Hey, Ethan, this is the book for the week. Read this book, read this book. And then he would send me off to Rich Dad, Poor Dad seminars. So early on, I started saving money. I worked for my father, so I started saving money to, potentially flip a house or something like that. Then I came across RE Mentor. So, and then they upsold me a few times. So my dad, paid for the mentorship for that. So, if it wasn't for my father and mentors that I've had throughout my life, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I've been a big fan of Vinny's for like 2 years, been watching you on YouTube, reading your books. You have all 3 of your books, Spanish, English, and the Positivity Brings Profitability. And then we realized syndication is what we want to do. So the last 2.5 years I've been educating myself. And then I bought an 8 unit. So that was my first acquisition with my father. I was 16 when we started going through the process, 17 when we closed it. So I couldn't get on the loan. So it was all my dad's name and everything. So I learned a lot through that process. And then I joined Vinny's mentorship program, and that kind of just skyrocketed me. I've been in it for less than a year, have 104 units under contract, and, constantly sending out LOIs.
Fabulous. Oh my gosh. Can you take us back to those 8 units? I think that will really mean a lot to a lot of people. Like, what were some of the initial steps? How did you come across that property? What were some ups and downs? The whole bit. Take us there.
Yep. So you're learning how to underwrite, just practicing underwriting. I didn't get into market research until after that. There's nothing's a mistake. It's just a life lesson, right? Learning lesson. So we didn't do any market research. So when COVID hit, the property hit pretty bad. We didn't have good management in place that wasn't evicting people before COVID. So when COVID came, they were kind of stuck there. So we came across it on LoopNet. The joke with LoopNet, it's like where deals go to die, right? So we found it on LoopNet, like a smaller deal. We underwrote 3 different deals from the same broker. This one made the most sense to us. It was cheaper, had the same NOI as the other properties. My dad had a patient he has like 100 units, mostly single family, and he kind of mentored us a little bit. He was our broker for that. He kind of showed us some stuff that helped us out a lot. And then, we went through the process. We purchased it, I think 30% down my dad's money. And then I was like the asset manager. I would manage the manager, which the first year was a lot of managing the manager because they weren't a very good manager. And then, next year, a year after we acquired it, we got a new manager in place that just started, bumping up the rents, putting people in place, renovating it, the way it should really go. And that taught me a lot about market research. It's a small city called Jasper in Florida, like 3,000 population. So just reading different books, figuring out market research. Now I'm a lot more detailed with my market research. And that's always the first step. Figure out your market, figure out at least 3 markets. Like Vinny says, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So figure out 3 markets, and then from there, start calling brokers, start calling property managers, building a relationship so you can really get that, deal flow coming in.
So I have a question for you, Ethan. So you graduated high school, and then did you go to college, or did you say, you know what, I know I want to be in real estate, and I think this is important because I didn't go to college either, and I just want to, I think it's important that Ethan kind of found his passion, right, and then he got an MBA or is working towards his MBA in real estate, right? So I think that's important for people because a lot of people like myself, I didn't know what I wanted to do, right, and I wasn't a very good student because I didn't really like school. I didn't pay attention. But once I found real estate, I spent the last 23 years learning about real estate, right? So I think that's important for parents out there. And your dad being a doctor, I think that's really cool that he didn't push you. Maybe he did, but he didn't push you into going to college. He said, if you want to learn real estate, let's get you some mentors and let's dive in because, you can fast track your way to wealth by getting the right mentors. And people that are listening, you don't need to go get a college degree to make you successful in real estate necessarily, right? So that's very interesting. So I just want to hear like your dad's viewpoint on that and your viewpoint.
Yeah, so I was a junior in high school. I was doing, it's called dual enrollment. So like half the day you're in college, half the day you're in high school. And that way you get like free college courses and everything. And then after a while, I realized I don't want to continue doing high school. I was pretty good in school. I just, so I graduated a year early. So 2019 is when I graduated. So while my friends were still, the last year of college, I was working full time for my dad, just working at his office, learning how to manage a business and stuff like that. And my dad, when I was really young, would push me like, hey, Ethan, you're going to be a doctor when you grow up, right? And then eventually he kind of, was like, hey, Ethan, I think real estate's the best way to go. My grandfather was actually a real estate investor in Peru. So he has like 100 units commercial, like 30 units multifamily, and some other stuff going on as well, before he passed. Yeah. And he used to tell my dad, we make the same amount of money, but I don't have to go to work, but you do. You have to go to work every day for 10 hours. I can stay home and make the same amount that you make, So my dad kind of realized that a little as he got older and older, as he matured, reading more books and stuff. So last year, my dad says that like since I'm not in college, he has to give me homework. So it's always different books and stuff like that. Last year, my dad read like 90 books, and I read like half of that, like 52. At the beginning it was a race, and then he kind of like, took advantage. But so just learning a lot different, not just real estate books. Sometimes reading so many real estate books it gets repetitive. Just reading books that can like self-help books, almost like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Miracle Morning. I know Vinny's big on that one. So many great books out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no college. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because it relates with me, and I think more people out there need a little bit more direction, and I'm sure once you were passionate about real estate, now you're like hooked. You spend more time learning now than you ever would have, and that was like the same way I was. I was like, never wanted to go to school, never wanted to open books, and then I started learning about real estate, and then like for years I would go and learn things every week. I'd go to a class, and you can't really get that kind of education without like going out and specifically finding like, how are you going to learn about cost segregation? How are you going to learn about 1031 exchanges? How are you going to learn about, writing an LOI? How are you going to learn about how to analyze multifamily? They don't really, in some advanced kind of, there's commercial focused, college degrees and things, but the majority of it doesn't really address what I wanted to do. So I like that about what Ethan's doing. I think a lot of young people that may listen to this in the future could be like, Ethan could be a good role model of like, taking massive action and implementing and going forward. I think that's really important for financial freedom. At the rate he's going, the time you're 25, you probably won't have to work much at all if you didn't want to, right? And that's
if I don't want to, I couldn't. Yeah. So I think I'm lucky I found out my passion very early on. People could be 30 years old, not really know what they want to do with life. Luckily I had like my biggest mentor is always gonna be my father, so luckily, I had his guidance to, figure out what my passion is. And before in school, I wasn't like, I was smart, but I would never just like study really hard. I would just figure out the easiest way for me to do my classes, My junior year of high school, I probably had like 1 or 2 classes. I had my girlfriend at the time do all my work for me, so I could graduate early. But now like I love reading. I love learning more about real estate, working like side by side with Vinny. I learned so much more than I would have, in college, especially, like life experience and in real estate as well.
Well, I think that too goes to show a lot about you because, Vinny saw something in you and now you're helping out Vinny and on the coaching program. And so that's great, right? Like now you're getting a PhD, right? You get to learn even more. So it's always good to put yourself out there and that's the first step. When somebody's like, I think what happened was Vinny saw that you had a lot of potential and then, reached out and said, hey, I need some help with some of this here. And you've got the tech side and you could bring a lot of value there. So, I think, people watching, put yourself in positions where you can get guys like Vinny that, hey, I need some help and I can help you, right? Like that's perfect, right? Like putting yourself in the right position to get in front of people like Vinny so you can learn more and more and more. And I think that's like the fastest way you can actually learn, right? It's like become friends, help out wherever you can, your mentors, because then they're gonna reciprocate the favor because they see you going the extra mile for them, and it's really people want to help each other in general, right? And so it's just if you're not always taking, and you provide value to your mentors, they're gonna see that and they're gonna help you even more.
Yep, like something I heard was like either seek to serve or to play to win, right? Yeah. So in the beginning, I played to win, or I paid to win. So I paid $40,000 for mentorship once, and I paid for Vinny's mentorship, which was a lot cheaper. And so I learned a lot then. It's just when you want to seek to serve, you have to have like a skill that will help somebody out as well. You can't just hit up random mentors like, hey, I want to work for you. You have to bring something to the table.
So true, Ethan. And I'm so privileged to have you in the academy and the kind of things you have learned so fast and, become specialist in underwriting and research and using the VAs and, the whole system. What you have put together, in the Excel and in other programs, active campaigns. You name it, right? You're a doer. And I really respect that because I think the students who have done really well in my academy are the go-getters, personal coaching students or group coaching students and all that. And that's our whole business is not in education, but I love to teach. I love to present. That's why our academy is much cheaper and so on. But anybody listening to us, by the way, if you just joined us or you're watching us later on, you will say, who are these two guys here, Vinney and Beau? Well, we come live to you actually just to give back to the society on Friday, 9:30 Pacific, every Friday. Not next week though, because I'll be in Florida, vacationing a whole week with with my wife and other people. But week after next, we'll come back again to you, or maybe we'll do it from there. I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing on Friday. About maybe 12:30 Pacific. I could do it from the beach. That'll be kind of nice. 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the live show from there, from the beach. We are going to be on Siesta Beach, which is a beautiful beach, I understand, and nice there. But no, go ahead, Beau.
Yeah, no, I was going to dive in with Vinny and with Ethan and say, okay, Ethan, so what's changed as you got involved with Vinny's coaching program, and then it seems like now you're kind of on fire. You're on fire. What's been the biggest piece versus maybe some other mentorship programs you've been in? Is it more of like being able to actually interact with Vinny as opposed to like working with somebody that's not the actual mentor? I mean, what's been the game changer here?
So one thing, working with Vinny, I paid for another mentorship thinking, I was going to have that main guy as my mentor, but you get like a random like former student who has maybe 50 units under their belt as your mentor, who you talk to for like 30 minutes every other week, right? With Vinny, I get to talk to him every week for like 2 hours. Plus we have people like, John Rusin, who you can text nonstop, set up Calendlies. So when I joined, I would have a Calendly, like a Zoom with John almost every day. I'll show John my underwriting, my market research. And I always knew what my destination that I wanted. I wanted just to get that first syndication under my belt, but I really needed the direction that John and Vinny gave me, like turn to left here, take a right here. And the accountability is another big one as well. Not having that group mentorship aspect of it, you don't really get the accountability, Vinny will call each student out every week. Hey, Ethan, what'd you do to, move the needle? He likes to say. So let's say if I slacked off the entire week, that Wednesday before the call, I would just start cold calling brokers or do something. So when it came time, I wouldn't embarrass myself when Vinny called me out. So I would say that the accountability, having the the ease of access to actually reaching out to Vinny. Vinny gives all his students his phone number. Vinny will text his students asking how they're doing, put group chats with everybody. It's a very it's like a family feel compared to the other ones where there's more of like a business thing.
And I think that's also a good point, right? Like if somebody's texting you, that's super accountable. Like he knows enough about you that he's texting you, and just subconsciously, if you're trying to move the needle, right? Like a lot of people they want to learn everything, but they'll never take action on anything. But I think when you get somebody that's texting you like, hey, what are you up to? What's going on? Are you working on any LOIs? I think that's like a game changer right there alone, right? Just the fact that somebody's watching what you're doing and hey, I invested in something and I'm not doing, a lot of people invest in all these programs, but they don't do anything, but nobody's calling them out. If somebody was texting me, what are you doing? Right. And I think that's important. The accountability piece is probably the biggest piece, because I think all of this isn't rocket science, but it's just the fact that people are scared and they're not once you dive in and you start looking at properties, looking at location, I mean, it's not rocket science, but it's just people have a fear of making that next step, a fear of, building an investor list, a fear of what if they make a mistake. And quite honestly, if you're going to make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. You just got to be able to push through those mistakes and really drive forward, right? I've made tons of mistakes, and it's some days I feel defeated. I'm not going to lie. I feel oh man, this is tough, right? But every problem I've ever had, I was able to overcome. So you just have to have that resilience to do that. And I think that's the most important piece of anything. I mean, it's not rocket science. You're looking for value add deals, right? In good markets where there's some trends that you can most likely raise rents and fill occupancies, and you go from there. So I think that's really cool. And I think the accountability piece is good. And when you're connecting with somebody directly, it's a lot more important than 3 offs, right? Because that's some guy that's got experience, but he's not the guy, right? And you get to talk to the guy.
Definitely. Another thing is having the other students kind of push you. Every week when I joined, it's people Derek Clifford, Mike Fritz, like constantly closing deals, doing syndication, and like it makes you almost trigger happy when you see a deal, you want to close a deal, so you can bring it to the table. But having Vinny kind of reel me back in, like, hey, the numbers don't make sense, and like Vinny will get on a Zoom with any of his students and like talk to them like, hey, this is what I think about this, and all that. So that helped out a lot as well. And when my old mentorship, I don't know any other students from there. Like I never got to talk to them. There's no like interactive aspect of it. It's very interactive with Vinny's, students reaching out saying congratulations, let's go on a Zoom, let's brainstorm. And also like seeing how I can create systems and delegating my work, like Vinny said, to virtual assistants. Like Vinny's big on VAs. I know Beau's killing it on YouTube and Instagram, having his VAs create those small clips, and stuff like that. Like so, like optimizing my website, optimizing my Instagram, all that to bring more investors in as well.
So wonderful, so wonderful. No, you're so right. I think the biggest thing is when I wrote this book, I was overwhelmed. I said, oh my gosh, this whole syndication business can be a gorilla or it can be very, very small. Like you said, it's not rocket science, Beau. You hit the nail on the head. And that's what really has helped me in understanding the syndication, OPM, other people's money, how there is $34 trillion or something in the retirement funds and savings and all, even on top of it, how to harness that money from family and friends in a legal way, structure, so that we could, make it happen for our passive investors, active investors, and so on. So, no, thank you, Ethan. I'm really proud because it's one thing to just take the bookish knowledge. It's the other thing to really implement it and move the needle, like you just said. And that's why I love that 2 hour time every Wednesday, starting at 4. I look forward to it because that's when I meet with all the, students, investors all across USA, even around the world now. And it's been just so wonderful. It's for my satisfaction that, if somebody's given me even a dime, I want to give back many, many fold to them. It's my duty as a coach, as a mentor, as a partner to make sure that they are reaching their goals, to be able to, get that what they came for, so on. And I'm crushing it myself, which is very, very exciting. I love that. I mean, I'm selling, I've done 34, 35, syndication deals myself, being on the GP, that loan principal on the top, and everything we've sold and done well. And now we are starting, by the way, anybody listening, we have a 506 fund, 506C, actually, I should say, which is where I can advertise, I can talk, SEC ruling that way. It's a $50 million fund. We'll be raising only 10 to 15 in one batch, first batch, first come, first serve. We'll close that right there, batch number 1. Then in 6 months, we'll do batch number 2, then 3, then 4. So it'll be $50 million fund. If anybody wants to find out more about it, please go to VinnieChopra.com. I saw somewhere the name came, VinnieChopra.com. That's the website. And also you could Google Vinney Chopra or Instagram, or, just send me personal message. I, look at every single email and text and all that. But thank you. Let's go into more. Ethan, what will you share with the young people? I mean, this is an episode which will be really archived, I think. And I hope that, parents who watch this, that they show this episode to their children, because I know some people that Monica, our daughter, is going to be mentoring, to build them up, and get it. Yeah, share with us.
Yep. So one thing I would say to the parents is, there's like the concept of the carpenter and then the gardener, right? The carpenter just tries to build something. The gardener is slowly like planting the seed, watering it, right? So my dad was never, at a young age, he wasn't like, Ethan, you need to do real estate. You need to invest passively. You need to build up, diversify your portfolio. He would just quiz me like on the way to middle school. Hey, Ethan, what's an asset and what's a liability? Stuff like that. Wow. And for example, my dad, he's got this machine here that he can, make money off it while he's not here. He's like, Ethan, this is an asset because it's also passive income, because while we're on vacation, this is still bringing in as much money as a regular provider would, right? Yeah. So stuff like that for the parents. I'm not sure exactly for the kids. Sometimes kids need to take time to, figure out life, Yeah. So that's what I would say.
For sure. I think you're so right to give that Of course, you got to bring, I know when Neil and Monica, our children were, oh, there we go. I'm 22. I worked on about 14 deals, about 4,100 units on the buy side. Acquisition is fun. Isaac, please text me at Vinnie@VinnieChopra.com. We would love to bring you on, buddy. We're going to bring you on, to our show. I think you have a story to tell, and we want to do that. We want to do that. Oh, you saw me. Oh, wow. I saw Vinny at, and let's see, last year at 2020 in oh my gosh, I'm thinking about Orlando, actually. So glad. Please do email me or text me 925-766-3518. Love to talk with you, Isaac. It'll be a pleasure, buddy. But no, thank you, and God bless you. That's so wonderful. But you're right, Ethan, the thing is, parents have to instill in their children, like I'm thinking about my dad. When you just talked about your dad, my dad would hold a school. I was interviewed yesterday for another show, and I brought back my memories. My dad would hold a school every night after dinner in the home. We were six siblings, right? Two brothers and four daughters. And our job with our dad, he was very disciplinarian, very good. And we will study a night before what teachers were going to teach next day. So we were ahead. And that really instilled in us, the education part of it. And all the siblings are very successful, and so on. And that really put me in the good frame to go engineering school and then coming here to USA for MBA and all that. But it's so true. I hope the parents do take a little bit time to introduce and give their children to read, how to win friends and influence people, how to have, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Excellent book, right? Napoleon Hill, it's never too early to talk about how to goal set, the magic of thinking big. I'm thinking, those kind of books. What other books can you maybe share? What books have really made a big impact in your life?
12 Pillars of Life. I believe that's a Jim Rohn book. That's a good one. Vinny's book. There's a few other good syndication books out there. Syndication Made Easy. That's kind of what really changed my life, because of that, my dad reached out to you guys.
Yes.
And that's when they kind of skyrocketed everything. Trying to think. Extreme Ownership. That's a great one. Emotional Intelligence. Sometimes people can get hot-headed, like let their emotions get in the way, their ego get in the way. Extreme Ownership is about taking ownership of everything. If I make a mistake, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's because this and that. You have to take ownership for your life and everything that does happen. Grit by Angela Duckworth is another good one as well. There's so many good books out there. Once you kind of go down the rabbit hole of going on Amazon, they recommend so many of the books. I know my dad makes me keep an Excel of every single one of his books. I'm not sure exactly why. I think he just likes knowing how many books he owns. But
yes.
But yeah, so there's so many great books out there.
Yeah,
excellent. I was going to say, another one which really, a lot of them are there. Eckhart Tolle's book, Power of Now. I really, really gained so much. Of course, Zig Ziglar's and others, Tony Robbins, and then I wrote this book. Actually, my wife is the one who really, got me going on this one. She says, oh, there you go. Okay, because positivity also brings so much into your life. I'm telling you, a lot of us think that this thing is wrong. I'll get around to it. I'll do this, that. But if just taking action with a positive attitude, if we can control our mind, we can control our destiny. We have heard that many, many times. But the key thing I find is that a lot of things we think will happen wrongly in the future never happen. So we just stress out so much in just keeping the past with us. It's kind of like a bowling ball. Would you be kind of moving around with a 20-pound bowling ball or 15-pound bowling ball? No, that's what that is, having that stress or carrying that old, which is never can be changed. We could learn from it. Sometimes that is even heavier than 20 pounds, and it stresses us out anyway. So I get into that. Go ahead, Beau, buddy. Yeah.
I'm going to give you one of my favorite books, but you gotta not read it. Well, you could read it later, but I would say first get it on Audible. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yep. That's a great book as well. Like everything David Goggins. Yep.
This is about a guy that got beat down, and then he tried to join the Navy SEALs. He the guy. It motivates me so much, and I got to re-listen to it because it's kind of going back to what Vinny was saying, right? Like no matter what, you're gonna have some days that like seriously, make you want to quit. And if you listen to David Goggins, he's a guy like you go, okay. He talks about building calluses from working out. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's like broke his leg and finished the Navy SEALs training academy. I mean, like he was running with a broken leg. He taped it up. I mean, just the grit the guy has. But he also has like the Guinness Book of World Record for pull-ups. And he talks about but he talks about callousing. Like you have to get calluses in your mind too, right? Because you have to be resilient. At the end of the day, you have to be positive. You have to, but you have to have a lot of grit. And that's what I like about this book is it's that, like when you're working out, here's a perfect example. When you're working out doing push-ups, like maybe it's, you're trying to do 10 and you haven't worked out in a while or whatever. You're on number 7 and you think you're done and you stop, right? Because you're saying, I'm tired, I'm going to do it. But you always have like 40% more in your tank. I've tried this out. Like just go hold a plank. You know what a plank is? Like on the ground where you hold it. Set a timer. Set a timer. And I guarantee you, just say whatever you do, say, I'm going to hold it for 2 minutes, right? Even if you've only done 1 minute planks, you can do it. You just, it's all here. And that's what I always tell myself when I'm pushing myself. It's like, you know what? Like I have another minute of this plank and I'm super tired. I'm shaking, but I just grit it out. And that's kind of what the book's about is that we all can do it. It's all like training your mind and building calluses, not only on your hands, but in your mind. So you can push forward. Because you're never going to lose ultimately if you can keep pushing forward. Even if you got completely wiped out, if you're willing to get back up in real estate investing, like in 2007, there was a lot of people that got lost everything they had. The people that got back up and just kept going, some of those people are multi-millionaires now, right? Because they said, okay, I got my butt handed to me, but they didn't give up. Where others said, okay, I can't deal with that stress anymore. I'm going to go find a safe job, right? And I think that's what I liked about David Goggins' book. And I like listening to it between the chapters. He talks about how he did some of these amazing feats. I mean, he does like the 100-mile races and things. And I mean, it's just a guy that just will push himself to the limit to finish it, to finish whatever. So I think that says a lot about certain people. Not everybody's like an Ethan, right? Not everybody's a Vinny. Everybody's a Beau, but you have to start building that drive up, and it's good. I think it's easier if your parents help you build that drive. And granted, a lot of parents don't have the education, and they're not going to. So if you're listening, you might not have Ethan's dad, that was helped, which was a guiding mentor. But you don't necessarily need it. Is it an advantage? Yes, of course, right? If you have a father that's successful and pushes you, but you have to build that up yourself, no matter what. And Ethan could have easily just said, I'm going to be a slacker my whole life, right? You gotta push forward.
Thank you, Ethan. It's such a wonderful meeting you again for the last few years and also coming on the show today. Hey guys, if you liked the content and, please give comments underneath, we have been going live right in LinkedIn, I think Facebook, YouTube right now through Restream Studio. Right here, and we come live to you every Friday. I'll try to see if I'm available next week. I will text you, right, Beau and Ethan, and we'll love to do this show, maybe shorter show from Florida. But again, thank you so much for watching. Ethan, how can people reach you, buddy? Yeah.
On Instagram, Ethan T. Diaz, or my business page, DB Investment Group. You can go on dbinvestmentgroup.org, and you can email me through there as well.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Okay, I want to bring this up here. Isaac said, can you bring it up before we let it go? He moved from India as an immigrant, not being able to speak English. I had big, thick accent, by the way, when I moved from India too. And Isaac, we have many, many things in common, buddy. My parents wanted me to be a truck driver, but you just got to keep pushing. Isaac, I'm very proud of you, buddy. Isaac Sunny, that's so nice. Again, do text me. I want to get to know you more, Isaac. And, again, anybody who's listening to me, I don't give out my text number, but in this one, I'll give you my text number 925-766-3518. Love to chat with you and bring you on the show. Congratulations, Ethan. Really proud of you, brother.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Beau.
All right.
We'll meet you next week. Thank you.